Think about it. There's always that one person who barely posts anything online. No selfies, no constant updates, no showing every part of their life. You don't really know what they're doing every day. You don't know where they are all the time. And you definitely don't know everything about them. But somehow, they stand out more than everyone else. People notice them more. People talk about them more. People think about them more than they expect. And the strange part is, they're not even trying to get attention. They're not chasing validation. They're not constantly trying to prove something. They're simply existing, but in a way that feels different. And that difference creates curiosity. Now compare that to someone who posts everything, every moment, every thought, every feeling. At first it works. They get attention. They get reactions. People engage with them. It feels like they're being seen. It feels like they matter. But over time, it becomes predictable. You already know what they're going to post. You already understand their patterns. There's no surprise anymore, no curiosity, no reason to think about them when they're not on your screen. And that's where attraction starts to fade. Because attraction isn't just about being seen, it's about creating a feeling that stays even when you're not there. Now here's the part most people miss. When someone shows less, your mind starts doing more. You begin to wonder about them. You think about what they're doing. You imagine who they are behind the scenes. And that imagination keeps them in your mind longer. That's why sometimes the less you show, the more people start noticing you. The more they start thinking about you, and the more they start feeling something without even understanding why. And the deeper you look at this, the more it starts to make sense. Because people aren't just attracted to what they see, they're attracted to what they feel and what they don't fully understand yet. When everything about someone is always visible, there's nothing left for the mind to explore. No questions, no curiosity, no reason to think about them later. But when something is missing, your brain keeps going back to it. It tries to complete the picture. It tries to understand what's not being shown. And that process creates attention. Now imagine this in real life. Two people walk into a room. One is loud, constantly talking, constantly trying to be noticed. The other is calm, quiet, not revealing much. At first, the loud one gets attention.
This place is alive.
But after a while,
the energy is
people
incredible
get used
tonight.
To it. It becomes
Can you feel
normal,
it? It's pulsing through the air.
predictable.
Look at the lights,
But
they're
the
dancing
quiet
for
one,
us.
the one
We
who
have to dive
doesn't
in.
show everything, starts
This place
to
is
stand
alive.
out more over time.
The energy is incredible
because
tonight.
people begin to wonder.
Can you feel it? It's pulsing
They
through
start
the air.
asking questions.
Look at the lights, they're
They
dancing
start
for us.
thinking about them.
We have to dive in.
And that curiosity
This
pulls
place is
people in.
alive. The
That's
energy
how
is incredible
attraction
tonight.
really works.
Can you feel
It's
it? It's
not always
pulsing through
about
the air.
doing more.
Look at the lights, they're
Sometimes
dancing for
it's
us.
about doing less.
We have to dive in.
Less talking, less showing.
This place is alive.
Less trying to prove
the energy is
something.
incredible tonight.
Because when you
Can you
stop
feel it? It's
trying so
pulsing
hard
through
to
the air.
be seen,
Look at
you
the
give
lights, they're
people
dancing
space
for
to
us.
notice you naturally.
We have to dive in.
And that kind of attention
This place is
always
alive.
stronger.
The energy is
because
incredible
it comes
tonight.
From curiosity,
Can you feel it? It's pulsing
not
through the
pressure.
air. Look at
And
the
the
lights,
more
they're dancing
natural
for
that
us.
attention feels,
We have to dive in.
the more powerful it becomes.
This place is alive.
Because people don't
the
feel
energy
like
is
they're
incredible
being forced
tonight.
to notice you.
Can you feel it? It's
They feel
pulsing
like
through
they
the air.
discovered you on their
Look
own.
at the lights, they're dancing
and
for
that
us.
feeling
We have
makes
to
them
dive in.
value you even more. Now think about this. When someone feels like a discovery, they become more interesting, more memorable, more attractive over time. Because people value what they feel they found themselves, not what was constantly shown to them. And that's the difference between someone people scroll past and someone people keep thinking about. And here's something even deeper. The moment people feel like they fully understand you, their curiosity drops. But when they feel like there's still more to learn about you, their interest stays alive. They keep observing, they keep paying attention, they keep thinking about you, even when you're not around. And that's where real attraction builds. Not in constant visibility, but in controlled mystery. Not in showing everything, but in knowing when to hold back. Because what you choose not to show can be just as powerful as what you do show, sometimes even more powerful. And that's what separates someone who gets attention for a moment from someone who stays on people's minds for a long time. Now here's where things get more interesting, because everything we've talked about so far is only the surface. The real reason this works comes from how people emotionally connect. Because attraction isn't just about what you see, it's about what you feel. And more importantly, it's about what your mind is trying to figure out. When someone shows everything about themselves, there's no discovery. You see them, you understand them, and that's it. But when someone doesn't reveal everything, your brain starts creating a story. You begin to build an image of them in your mind. You connect small details, small behaviors, small moments, and slowly that image starts to feel real. Even if it's not completely accurate, because your mind created it. And anything your mind invests energy into starts to feel important. That's why people can feel attached, even without deep interaction. Because the connection wasn't built in reality, it was built in imagination. Now think about the early stage of a relationship. When you don't fully know the other person yet, that's when emotions feel strongest. That's when everything feels exciting, because there's still mystery. There are still things to discover. There are still questions unanswered. And your brain loves that. It keeps you thinking about them. It keeps you engaged. But over time, when everything becomes predictable, that excitement starts to fade. Not because the person changed, but because the mystery disappeared. Because your brain no longer needs to search. And without that search, there's less emotional intensity. That's why keeping some mystery isn't about playing games. It's about understanding how attraction works. It's about not rushing to reveal everything. Because when things unfold slowly, they feel more meaningful, more real, more valuable. Now here's something most people get wrong. They think showing more will make people connect more. But connection doesn't come from information. It comes from emotion. And emotion grows stronger when there's something to feel, not just something to see. When everything is explained, there's nothing left to feel deeply. But when something is left open, your mind steps in. You start imagining, you start interpreting, you start connecting, and that's what creates depth. Now imagine two situations. In the first, someone tells you everything about themselves immediately. There's nothing left to discover. In the second, you learn about someone slowly, bit by bit, moment by moment. The second always feels more engaging because your brain is involved. You're not just receiving information, you're experiencing discovery. And that experience is what builds stronger attraction. Because people don't just remember what they see, they remember what they felt while discovering it. And that feeling is what keeps them connected. So when you understand this, you stop trying to rush everything. You stop trying to prove everything. You stop trying to show everything all at once. Instead, you allow things to unfold naturally. You allow curiosity to build. And that changes everything. Because now, you're not chasing attention, you're creating it. And that's the difference between being seen for a moment and being remembered for a long time. Now let's bring this into real life. Because this doesn't just happen online, it happens in everyday interactions, in dating, in conversations, in the way people respond to each other. Think about this. You meet someone new. At the beginning, you don't know much about them. And that's exactly what makes it exciting. You pay attention to everything. The way they talk, the way they move, the way they respond to things. Every small detail feels important because you're still trying to understand them. Now imagine that same person tells you everything about themselves on day one. Their past, their habits, their thoughts, their entire personality. Nothing left hidden, nothing left to discover. What happens? The excitement drops, not because they're not interesting, but because there's nothing left for your mind to explore. And without exploration, there's no emotional build. That's why in dating, people often feel the strongest attraction at the beginning. Not because everything is perfect, but because everything is unknown. There's tension, there's curiosity, there's imagination, And all of that creates emotional intensity. But then, some people make a mistake. They try to speed everything up. They try to reveal everything too quickly. They try to explain everything about themselves. They try to be fully understood immediately. And without realizing it, they remove the very thing that created attraction. They remove mystery. They remove curiosity. They remove the emotional tension. And once that's gone, the connection starts to feel flat. Now compare that to someone who moves differently, someone who doesn't rush, someone who shares things slowly, someone who allows moments to breathe. They don't over-explain themselves. They don't try to impress constantly. They don't try to prove their value. Instead, they let their presence speak. They let their actions show. They let time reveal who they are. And because of that, people stay interested longer. People stay curious longer. People feel more emotionally connected because they're experiencing something, not just receiving information. And that's the difference between a connection that fades quickly and one that builds over time. Now think about texting. One person replies instantly every time, sends long messages, explains everything, always available. At first, it feels good. It feels like attention. But over time, it becomes expected. There's no anticipation, no curiosity, no emotional build. But another person replies with intention. They don't rush, they don't overdo it. They say enough, but not everything. And that creates something powerful. It creates space. Space for anticipation, space for curiosity, space for emotional investment. Because now, you're thinking about them between messages. You're wondering what they're doing. You're waiting for their reply. And that waiting, that anticipation, is where attraction grows. Not in constant communication, but in the space between it. And most people miss this. They think more effort equals more attraction. But attraction doesn't work like that. Too much effort too quickly removes tension. And tension is what keeps emotions alive. Now look at this from another angle. Have you ever noticed the people who feel the most confident are usually the ones who don't try too hard? They don't chase attention. They don't force conversations. They don't try to impress everyone. And because of that, they feel different. They feel grounded. They feel in control. And that energy is attractive because it shows something deeper. It shows that they don't need validation. They don't need constant attention. They're comfortable as they are. And that comfort creates a sense of mystery because people can't fully read them. They can't fully figure them out. And that makes them more interesting, more engaging, more memorable. So when you understand all of this, you stop trying to do too much. You stop trying to show everything. You stop trying to be fully understood immediately. Instead, you focus on presence, on timing, on letting things unfold naturally. Because real attraction isn't built by rushing. It's built by creating space and allowing curiosity to grow inside that space. And the more you understand that, the more control you have without even trying. And there's still another layer most people never reach. Because attraction is not just about curiosity, it's about emotional contrast. It's about the difference between presence and absence, between knowing and not knowing, between clarity and mystery. And the stronger that contrast is, the stronger the emotional impact becomes. Now think about this carefully. If someone is always available, always responding, always showing up the same way, your brain starts to normalize it. It becomes expected. It becomes routine. And anything that becomes routine loses emotional intensity. But when there is variation, when there are moments of presence and moments of space, your brain pays more attention because it doesn't fully predict what's coming next. And unpredictability creates focus. It creates awareness. It creates emotional engagement. Now, this doesn't mean being inconsistent. It doesn't mean playing games. It means not removing all mystery from the experience. Because the moment everything becomes predictable, your brain stops valuing it the same way. Now think about conversations again. Someone who explains everything in perfect detail leaves nothing for you to interpret. But someone who says just enough and allows silence to exist makes you think more, makes you analyze their words, makes you feel more involved. And that involvement is what creates connection. Because people don't connect to information, they connect to experience. And experience requires participation. Your mind has to be part of it. Now here's something even deeper. The more effort your brain puts into understanding someone, the more important that person becomes. Because your brain doesn't like wasting energy. If it keeps thinking about someone, it starts assigning value to them, even if that value wasn't there in the beginning. That's why people can become attached to someone they barely know, because their mind created the connection, not the situation itself. And that's powerful, because it means attraction is not just about what you do, it's about what you allow the other person's mind to do. Now think about this in a long-term sense. The people who remain interesting are not the ones who gave everything quickly. They're the ones who revealed themselves in layers. The ones who allowed time to build meaning. The ones who never felt fully predictable. Because predictability closes the loop. It ends the process. But mystery keeps the loop open. It keeps the brain engaged. It keeps emotions active. Now here's the part that changes everything. Most people are trying to be understood, but the people who are most attractive are not immediately understood. There's something about them that takes time to figure out. Something that isn't obvious. Something that isn't fully explained. And that's what makes them memorable. Because your brain keeps returning to them, trying to understand more, trying to see deeper, trying to complete the picture, and every time it does that, the connection grows. Now think about energy. When someone is always trying, always pushing, always giving too much, it creates pressure. But when someone is relaxed, calm, not forcing anything, it creates ease. And people are naturally drawn to that because it feels different. It feels effortless. And effortlessness is attractive because it signals confidence, it signals control. It signals that the person doesn't need to prove anything. Now combine that with mystery and you get something even stronger. Because now, you're not just calm and confident, you're also not fully understood. And that combination creates depth. Now here's the final shift you need to understand. Attraction is not about being everywhere. It's about leaving an impression that stays. It's about creating moments that people return to in their mind. Moments that feel slightly unfinished. Moments that carry emotion. Moments that create curiosity. Because those moments don't disappear. They stay, they repeat, they grow stronger over time. And that's how something simple turns into something meaningful, because the mind keeps building on it. Now ask yourself this: do people forget you quickly, or do they think about you later? Do they feel like they understand you completely, or do they feel like there's more to discover? Because that difference is everything. That difference decides whether attraction fades or whether it grows. And once you understand that, you stop trying to control everything. You stop trying to be perfect. You stop trying to explain yourself completely. Instead, you allow space. You allow moments to breathe. You allow curiosity to exist. Because that's where the real connection happens. Not in what is fully shown, but in what is felt and not fully explained. And that's what makes someone unforgettable.
And if you look even closer, you'll notice something most people never realize. The people who leave the strongest impact are not the ones who try the hardest. They're the ones who create space. Space in conversations, space in emotions, space in the mind. Because when there is space, your brain starts filling it. It starts asking questions. It starts creating meaning. And that meaning is what builds connection. Now think about how this shows up in everyday life. Someone who talks non-stop, who explains everything, who fills every silence, doesn't give your mind a chance to engage, but someone who speaks with intention, who pauses, who allows silence to exist, makes you lean in, makes you focus, makes you feel more involved. And that involvement is what creates depth. Because now you're not just listening, you're thinking, you're feeling, you're connecting. And that's what people remember. Not constant noise, but moments that made them feel something. Now here's something even more important. The brain values what it works for. If something comes too easily, it doesn't feel as important. But if your mind has to think, has to process, has to understand something over time, it starts assigning more value to it. And that's exactly how attraction grows. Not through instant clarity, but through gradual understanding. Now imagine this, two people again. One is completely open immediately, everything is clear, everything is visible. The other reveals themselves slowly, bit by bit, layer by layer. Which one feels more interesting? Which one stays in your mind longer? It's always the one that takes time to understand, because your brain is involved in the process. And the more involved your brain is, the stronger the connection feels. Now take this into emotional energy. When everything is predictable, your emotions stay flat. But when there is a little uncertainty, a little curiosity, your emotions become stronger because your mind is active. It's trying to figure things out. And that process creates intensity. Now, this is where most people get it wrong. They think they need to do more to be attractive. More talking, more explaining, more showing. But the truth is, they need to remove what's unnecessary. Remove the need to always respond immediately. Remove the need to always explain everything. Remove the need to always be understood. Because the moment you stop doing that, you create something powerful. You create presence. A presence that feels calm. A presence that feels controlled. A presence that feels different. And people notice that. Even if they don't understand why, they feel it. And they remember it. Now think about this final idea. Attraction is not about how much you show. It's about how much you leave behind. How much of you stays in someone's mind after the moment ends. Because that's what matters. Not the interaction itself, but what remains after it. What stays in their thoughts. What they replay. What they feel again later. Because that's where connection grows. Not in the moment, but after it. And once you understand that, you stop chasing attention. You start creating impact. And impact is what makes someone unforgettable.
Now here's where everything becomes real. Because understanding attraction is one thing, but seeing it happen in real life is something completely different. Think about the times you felt the strongest connection to someone. It wasn't always when they were there. It wasn't always when they were talking to you. It wasn't always when everything was clear. Most of the time, it was when they weren't there. When you were alone. When your mind went back to them. When you started replaying moments, replaying conversations, replaying small details. That's when the feeling actually grew. Not in the moment, but after it. And that's the part most people don't understand. They think attraction happens face to face, but real attraction happens in absence. It happens when your mind is free and it chooses to go back to someone. Now think about that carefully. If someone is always there, always texting, always explaining, always present, your mind doesn't need to go anywhere because everything is already in front of you. But when there is space, when there is distance, when there is time in between, your mind starts moving. It starts searching. It starts returning to them. And that movement is what creates emotional depth. Now let's make this even more real. Imagine two situations. In the first one, someone is constantly texting you, every hour, every moment, always available. At first, it feels good. It feels like attention. It feels like connection. But over time, it becomes normal, expected, and then it becomes boring because there is no space, no buildup, no emotional tension. Now imagine the second situation. Someone is present, but not constant. They respond, but not instantly every time. They engage, but they also give space. There are moments where you hear from them and moments where you don't. And suddenly, you start thinking about them more. You check your phone. You wonder what they're doing. You replay your last conversation. And without realizing it, your emotional investment grows. Because now your mind is involved. Now your feelings are building over time. Now you are part of the process. And that's the difference between something that feels temporary and something that feels real. Now here's something even deeper. People don't get attached to people. They get attached to the way those people make them feel. And feelings grow through repetition in the mind, not just through interaction. That's why someone can think about a person all day, even if they only spoke for a short time, because their mind keeps going back to that feeling. Now think about control again. When you try too hard to be understood, you remove that process. You remove the thinking. You remove the wondering. You remove the emotional build. And without that, there's nothing for the mind to return to. Now here's the truth most people don't want to hear. The more available you are, the less you are valued over time. Not because you're not important, but because your presence becomes predictable. And predictability reduces emotional intensity. But when there is a balance between presence and absence, between clarity and mystery, between connection and space, that's when something powerful happens. That's when attraction stabilizes. That's when it becomes deeper. Now think about long-term attraction. The people who stay interesting are not the ones who gave everything at the beginning. They're the ones who kept evolving, the ones who revealed themselves slowly, the ones who never felt fully predictable, because there was always something new to discover, something new to understand, something new to feel, and that continuous discovery keeps the mind engaged. Now here's the final shift. Stop asking, how do I get someone to like me? Start asking, how do I create a feeling that stays? Because that's what matters. Not the moment, not the conversation, not the interaction itself, but what remains after it, what stays in their thoughts, what they feel when you're not there. Because that's where real connection lives. Now ask yourself one last question. When people leave you, do they feel complete, or do they feel like there's something more? Because if they feel complete, they move on. But if they feel like there's more, they come back. In their thoughts, in their emotions, in their attention. And that's how attraction grows. Quietly, over time, without force, without pressure, without trying too hard, just through presence, space, and emotional impact. And when you truly understand this, you don't need to chase attention anymore. Because now, you know how to stay in someone's mind. And once you stay in someone's mind, you become impossible to ignore. And that is where real attraction begins. Now let's go even deeper into something most people ignore. Because by now, you understand that attraction grows in the mind. Not just through interaction, but through what happens after. But here's the part people miss. What actually keeps someone thinking about you? What makes your presence stay, even when you're gone? It comes down to emotional contrast, the difference between how someone feels with you and how they feel without you. Now think about that. If someone feels the exact same way all the time, whether you're there or not, your presence loses impact. Because nothing changes, nothing shifts, nothing stands out. But when someone feels something different with you, when your presence creates a shift in their emotions, that's what makes you memorable. Now imagine this. Someone spends time with you and they feel calm, focused, present. There's no pressure, no need to perform, no need to impress, just a natural, grounded feeling. Then they leave, and they go back to their normal life. Noise, stress, distractions, And suddenly, they notice the difference. They notice how they felt with you compared to everything else. And that contrast is what brings them back. Not physically at first, but mentally. They start thinking about you because you became a different experience. Now here's something deeper. Most people try to compete for attention. They try to be more entertaining, more exciting, more impressive. But the people who create real attraction don't compete. They create contrast. They become something different from everything else. And different is what the brain remembers. Now let's bring this into behavior. If you react to everything immediately, you become predictable. If you always say yes, you become expected. If you're always available, you become part of the background. But when your behavior has rhythm, when there is timing, when there is balance, your presence feels intentional. It feels controlled. It feels valuable. Now think about this in texting again. Someone who replies instantly every time removes anticipation. But someone who replies with presence, not just speed, creates a different feeling. Because now it's not about how fast they respond, it's about how they respond. The tone, the energy, the intention behind it. And that intention is what people feel. Now here's another layer. People are drawn to emotional stability, but they are intrigued by emotional depth. And the combination of both is rare. Someone who is stable, but also has layers. Someone who is calm, but not boring. Someone who is
Peaceful.
present, but not fully
With you.
predictable. That's what creates long-term attraction. Now think about identity.
Quiet tonight.
The most attractive people are not trying to
Peaceful.
fit into expectations.
With you.
They're not adjusting themselves constantly. They're not trying to be liked by
It's
everyone.
quiet tonight.
They have a sense of self, a grounded
Peaceful.
identity. And
With you.
because of that, they don't over-explain themselves. They don't overshare.
It's
They
quiet
don't try to
tonight.
prove their value. They let people experience it over time.
With you.
And that experience creates belief. Now here's something important.
It's
When you
quiet
constantly explain who you are, people
Peaceful.
hear it. But when you
With
let
you.
them discover who you are, people believe it. And belief is stronger
quiet
than
tonight.
information. Now let's go even deeper.
Peaceful.
Attraction is not
With you.
just about being interesting. It's about being felt, being experienced in a way
It's quiet
that creates emotion. And emotion
Peaceful.
is what people remember.
with you.
Not words, not explanations, not effort, but how you
It's
made them
quiet
feel.
tonight.
Now think about your last strong
Peaceful.
connection. Was it
With you.
logical or was it emotional? Was it based on understanding everything or feeling something deeper? That's the difference between surface level interaction and real connection. Now here's the final shift for this part. Stop trying to be more and start focusing on being different. Not louder, not more visible, but more intentional, more present, more controlled. Because when your presence feels intentional, people pay attention. When your energy feels grounded, people feel it. And when your interactions create contrast, people remember it. And that's what you want. Not just attention in the moment, but presence in the mind. Because when someone keeps thinking about you without you doing anything, that's when attraction becomes real. And that's when it starts to grow on its own. Now let's talk about something most people feel, but rarely understand. Why do people pull away right when things start to feel real? Right when emotions start building, right when connection starts getting deeper? It seems confusing. It feels like something went wrong. But the truth is, nothing went wrong. What you're seeing is a shift in emotional perception. Because in the beginning, everything is easy. Everything is light. There's no pressure, no expectations, no emotional weight. And because of that, everything feels natural. But as soon as things start becoming real, as soon as emotions begin to grow, everything changes. Now there's something to lose. Now there's uncertainty. Now there's vulnerability. And not everyone is comfortable with that. Now think about this carefully. When someone starts liking you, they don't just feel attraction. they also feel risk. The risk of being rejected, the risk of losing control, the risk of getting emotionally involved. And for many people, that feeling is unfamiliar. So what do? They create distance. Not because they don't care, but because they don't fully understand what they're feeling. Now here's where most people make a mistake. They see that distance and they try to fix it. They try to close the gap. They try to get answers. They try to pull the person back in. But in doing that, they increase the pressure. And pressure pushes people further away. Now think about emotional space again. When someone pulls back slightly, it creates a moment where the other person has space to think, space to process, space to feel. But if that space is immediately filled, there is no time for emotions to develop naturally. And that's where attraction starts to break. Now here's something deeper. People are not just reacting to you. They are reacting to how they feel around you. And when those feelings become intense, they need time to understand them. But if that time is not given, they feel overwhelmed. And when people feel overwhelmed, they step back. Now imagine this in a real situation. You're talking to someone, everything is flowing, everything feels good. Then suddenly, they become a little distant, a little slower, a little less present. And instead of allowing it, you react. You ask questions. You try to figure it out. You try to bring things back to how they were. But in doing that, you remove the natural rhythm. You turn something that was building into something forced. Now here's the truth. Attraction needs space to breathe. It needs time to grow. It needs moments of absence to create emotional depth. Because without absence, there is no appreciation. Without space, there is no curiosity. Without time, there is no build. Now let's go even deeper. When someone pulls away, it often reveals something important. Not about them, but about you. Because your reaction shows your emotional state. Do you panic? Do you chase? Do you overthink? Or do you stay grounded? Do you allow space? Do you stay calm? Because that reaction changes everything. Now here's something powerful. The way you respond to distance either increases attraction or destroys it. If you chase, you lower your perceived value. If you panic, you create emotional pressure. But if you stay composed, if you remain steady, if you allow things to unfold, you create something different. You create respect. And respect is a key part of attraction. Now think about balance again. Attraction is not about constant closeness. It's about rhythm, moments of connection and moments of space, moments of interaction and moments of absence. And when that rhythm is natural, everything feels effortless. Now here's the deeper truth. People don't just want connection. They want to feel something real. And real emotions take time to develop. They can't be rushed. They can't be forced. They have to grow. And growth requires space. Now think about this final idea. When someone pulls away, it's not always a loss. Sometimes it's part of the process. A process where emotions are forming, where thoughts are building, where connection is becoming deeper. But only if you allow it. Now ask yourself this. When something shifts, do you try to control it or do you allow it? Because control kills natural attraction, but allowing lets it grow. And once you understand that, you stop reacting to every change. You stop chasing every feeling. You stop trying to fix everything. Instead, you stay grounded. You stay present. You stay in control of yourself. And that energy is what people feel. That stability is what people respect. And that balance is what keeps attraction alive. Because in the end, attraction is not about holding on tightly. It's about knowing when to hold and when to let space exist. And the people who understand that don't lose connection. They strengthen it. Without forcing anything, without chasing anything, just by allowing things to unfold naturally. And that is what makes attraction last. Now let's slow this down for a moment, because everything we've talked about comes back to one simple question. Why do some people stay in your mind while others disappear almost instantly? It's not always about what they did. It's not about how much time you spent with them. And it's definitely not about being perfect. It's about the impact they leave behind. Now think about your own experiences. There are people you barely knew, but somehow you still remember them. Small moments, small details, things that didn't seem important, but stayed with you. And then there are people you spent a lot of time with, but they don't cross your mind anymore. And that difference is everything. The mind doesn't hold on to everything. It filters. It keeps what feels meaningful, what feels different, what creates emotion. And emotion is strongest when something is not fully complete, when something leaves a question, when something creates a feeling that doesn't fully resolve. Now think about conversations. The ones that stay with you are not always the longest ones. They're the ones that made you feel something, the ones that had pauses, moments of silence, moments where you were thinking, not just listening. And that thinking is what creates memory. Now let's talk about presence. Most people think presence means being there all the time, always available, always responding, always showing up. But real presence is not about quantity, it's about quality. It's about how someone feels when they're with you, and how that feeling stays after you're gone. Now imagine this. You spend time with someone, and everything feels calm. There's no pressure, no need to impress, no need to perform, just a natural flow. Then you leave, and something feels different. Something feels missing, not because they did something extreme, but because they created a feeling your mind wants to return to. And that's what real presence does. It creates something that continues after the moment ends.
Everyone was just pushing and shoving.
Now here's something deeper.
And then the music was so
If
loud, my
someone
ears still
fully
ringing. Did you hear that
understands
bass
you,
line?
fully
But you were
predicts you,
quiet. What's on your
there's
mind? You seem
nothing left
distant.
to
Can't
explore,
believe how crowded
nothing
it was.
left to
Everyone was
discover.
just pushing and shoving.
And
you
when
know?
there's
And
nothing
then the
left,
music was so loud, my ears
attention
still ringing.
fades.
Did you hear that bass line?
But when there is
But you were
always
quiet.
something more,
What's on your mind? You seem
something
distant.
not
Can't
fully
believe
clear,
how crowded it was.
something
Everyone
that
was
takes
just pushing
time
and
to
shoving, you know?
understand,
And then the
your
music was
mind
so loud,
stays
my ears still
engaged.
ringing. Did you hear that bass
Now
line?
think about rhythm.
But you were quiet.
Attraction
What's on
is
your
not
mind? You seem
constant.
distant. Can't
It
believe how
moves.
crowded
There
it
are
was.
moments
Everyone
of
was just
connection
pushing and shoving,
and
you know?
moments of
And then the
space,
music was so loud, my
moments of
ears still ringing. Did
closeness,
you hear that bass
and
line?
moments of distance.
But you were quiet.
And when
What's
that
on your
rhythm
mind? You
is
seem
natural,
distant. Can't believe how
everything feels
crowded it was.
effortless.
Everyone was just pushing
But
and
when
shoving,
you try
you
to
know?
control
And then the
everything,
music was so loud,
when
my
you
ears
try
still
to keep
ringing. Did you hear
everything
that
the
bass
same,
line?
you
But you were
break that
quiet.
rhythm.
What's on your mind?
And
You seem
once the
distant.
rhythm is
Can't believe
gone,
how crowded it
so
was.
is the
Everyone was just
feeling.
pushing and shoving,
Now
you know?
think about your
And then the
energy,
music was so loud, my
not
ears
what you
still ringing.
say,
Did you hear that bass line?
not what you do,
But you were quiet.
but how you
What's
feel.
on your mind? You seem distant.
Because
Can't
people
believe
feel
how
that
crowded
first.
it was. Everyone
They
was just
feel your
pushing and
calm,
shoving, you know?
or your
And then the
pressure,
music was so loud, my
your
ears still ringing.
confidence,
Did you hear that bass
or your
line?
need for validation.
But you were quiet. What's
And
on your
that
mind? You seem
feeling
distant.
shapes
Can't believe how
everything.
crowded it was.
Now
Everyone was just
imagine
pushing
being
and shoving,
someone
you know?
who
And then the
doesn't
music was
react
so
to
loud, my
every
ears still
shift,
ringing. Did you hear that
who
bass line?
doesn't panic when
But you were
things
quiet.
change,
What's on your mind?
who
You seem
doesn't try to
distant.
control
Can't
every
believe how
outcome.
crowded it was. Everyone
That
was
kind
just
of
pushing
energy
and shoving, you know?
feels
And then
different.
the music was
It
so
feels
loud, my ears
grounded.
still ringing. Did you
It
hear that
feels
bass line?
stable. It
But you were
feels
quiet.
real.
What's on your mind? You
And
seem
people are
distant.
drawn to that. Now here's the truth. Attraction is not about doing more. It's about doing the right things and knowing when to do nothing. Because sometimes what you don't do is more powerful than what you do. Now think about this. When someone leaves you, what do they feel? Do they feel complete? Or do they feel like there's something more? Because if they feel complete, they move on. But if they feel something unfinished, something still pulling at their attention, they come back. Not always physically, but mentally. And that's where real attraction grows. Now let's bring this together. Attraction is not about chasing, not about convincing, not about proving. It's about creating a feeling that stays, a feeling that builds over time, a feeling that returns even when you're not there. And the moment you understand that, you stop doing what most people do. You stop over-explaining, you stop overreacting, you stop over-giving. and you start creating something deeper, something quieter, something stronger. Now let me ask you something. When people leave you, do they keep thinking about you? Or do they move on immediately? Do they feel like they understand everything about you? Or do they feel like there's more to discover? Do you create moments, or do you create impact? Do you fill space, or do you create meaning? And most importantly, are you trying to hold attention or create something people can't stop returning to? Because that answer changes everything. And once you see it clearly, you stop chasing. You stop forcing. You stop trying to control everything. And instead, you become someone people remember, someone people think about, someone people feel, even when you're not there. And that is what makes you unforgettable. Now, after everything you've heard, everything we've broken down, everything you've started to understand, there's one final shift that changes everything. And it's this. Attraction is not something you chase, it's something you allow. Now think about how powerful that is. Because most people spend their time trying to control outcomes, trying to get responses, trying to keep someone interested, trying to hold on to a feeling. But the more you try to hold something, the more pressure you create, and pressure pushes people away. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine being someone who doesn't chase, who doesn't force, who doesn't react to every shift, but instead allows things to unfold naturally, without pressure, without urgency. That kind of energy feels different. It feels calm. It feels confident. And people are drawn to that. Now let's go deeper. People don't just want attention. They want to feel something real. And real emotions don't come from force. They come from experience, from moments that feel natural, moments that feel genuine. Now think about your own life. The strongest connections you've ever felt were not forced. They didn't happen because someone tried too hard. They happened because something felt real. And that's what you're creating. Not just interaction, but experience. Now here's something most people never admit. The reason they lose attraction is not because they're not enough. It's because they try too hard to be enough. They over-explain, they overgive, they overreact. And in doing that, they remove the natural process. They remove the space. They remove the curiosity. And without those things, nothing has room to grow. Now think about this carefully. When you stop trying to control everything, you start seeing things clearly. You see who naturally moves toward you. You see who is genuinely interested. You see who is consistent without being forced. And that clarity protects your energy. Because now, you're not chasing connection. You're recognizing it. Now let's talk about value. Real value is not loud. It doesn't need to prove itself. It simply exists. And because it exists, people recognize it over time. And that recognition creates respect. Now think about who you're becoming. Someone who understands timing. Someone who understands space. Someone who stays grounded. Not someone who reacts to everything. Not someone who chases every feeling, but someone who stays in control. Now imagine being around someone like that. Someone who is calm, even when things are uncertain. Someone who doesn't panic when there's silence. That kind of person feels safe, feels stable, feels different, and people remember that. Now here's the deeper truth. Attraction is not built in the moment. It's built in the mind, through memory, through emotion, through the way someone feels when they think about you later. And once you understand that, you stop focusing only on the moment. You start focusing on what remains after it. Now think about your interactions. What do you leave behind? Do you leave clarity or curiosity? Do you leave pressure or calm? Do you leave something finished or something that stays in their mind? Because that's what matters. Not what happens when you're there, but what happens when you're gone. Now let's bring everything together. Attraction is not about being perfect. It's about creating something real, something that builds, something that lasts. And that only happens when you stop trying to force it. Now I want you to think about this. The next time something shifts, pause. Don't rush. Don't chase. Don't try to control the outcome. Just observe. Just allow. Because that moment is where everything changes. Now let me ask you something. Are you someone who creates pressure or someone who creates space? Are you someone who reacts instantly or someone who responds with intention? Or someone who allows things to grow naturally? Because those answers define everything. Now here's the final truth. You don't need to prove anything. You just need to understand the balance between presence and absence, between clarity and mystery. And when you find that balance, everything becomes easier, more natural, more real. And that's when attraction starts working for you. So now ask yourself one last question. Are you chasing attention or creating something unforgettable? Because once you choose the second, everything changes. And if you take this even further, you start to notice something most people completely miss. Attraction is not just about how someone feels when they're with you. It's about how they feel when they're away from you. Because that's where the real connection grows. Not in the moment, but in the absence of it. Now think about this carefully. When someone leaves an interaction with you, what stays in their mind? Do they feel like everything was already clear? Like they've already figured you out? Or do they feel something pulling them back? Something unfinished? Something they keep thinking about without even realizing it? Because the mind naturally returns to what feels incomplete. It tries to understand it. It tries to make sense of it. And every time it does, the connection becomes stronger. Now imagine creating that effect naturally, not by playing games, not by confusing someone, but by simply not overdoing everything, not over-explaining, not over-giving, not overreacting. Because when you remove the excess, what remains becomes more powerful. Now think about how most people behave. They fill every silence. They respond instantly. They explain everything in detail. They try to make sure nothing is misunderstood. But in doing that, they remove the space. And without space, there is no curiosity. Without curiosity, there is no emotional engagement. Now imagine the opposite. They're thinking about what you say. They become more present, more engaged, more connected. It didn't end when the moment ends. It carries forward. Now let's talk about emotional impact, because this is where everything connects. People don't remember everything. They remember what stood out, what felt different, what created a feeling. And that feeling is stronger when it's not fully explained. When there's something left to think about, something left to understand over time. Now think about the difference between information and experience. Information is processed quickly, it's understood, and then it's gone. But experience, especially emotional experience, stays longer. Because it's not just understood, it's felt, and feelings linger. Now here's something powerful. When someone keeps thinking about you, you become more important to them, even if nothing major actually happened. Because the brain measures importance based on attention. And attention grows when the mind keeps returning. So if your presence creates thought, you've already created connection. Now think about your role in this. You don't need to force attention. You don't need to chase interest. You need to create moments that stay in the mind. Moments that feel real. Moments that feel different. Moments that are not fully finished. Now here's something deeper. Attraction grows in contrast. Moments of connection, followed by moments of space. Moments of closeness, followed by moments of distance. And when that balance exists, everything feels more intense, more real, more meaningful. But when everything is constant, it becomes predictable. And predictability kills curiosity. Now think about how people remember you. Not by how much you said, but by how you made them feel. Not by constant interaction, but by the moments that stood out, the moments that felt different, the moments that made them pause, the moments that made them think. And that thinking is what keeps you in their mind. So now ask yourself this: are you creating noise or are you creating impact? Because once you understand that difference, everything changes. Now take this one step further, because the real shift happens when you stop trying to be understood immediately. Most people want instant clarity. They want to explain everything. They want to make sure nothing is left uncertain. But attraction doesn't grow from certainty alone. It grows from discovery, from layers, from understanding someone over time. Now think about how powerful that is. When someone feels like they are discovering you, instead of being told everything at once, they become more invested, more curious, more engaged. Because now their mind is part of the process. And when the mind is involved, the connection becomes stronger. Now here's something even deeper. When you stop over-explaining, you start communicating differently. Your words carry more weight. Your presence feels more intentional. Your silence becomes meaningful. And that meaning creates impact. Now think about the difference. Someone who says everything versus someone who says only what matters. One feels loud, the other feels powerful, and people remember power. Now bring this back to you. Are you trying to say everything? Or are you allowing people to understand you over time? Because that choice changes how people experience you. And that experience is what creates attraction that actually lasts. People don't remember everything. They remember what stood out, what felt different, what created a feeling. And that feeling is stronger when it's not fully explained. When there's something left to think about, something left to understand over time. Now think about the difference between information and experience. Information is processed quickly, it's understood, and then it's gone. But experience, especially emotional experience, stays longer. Because it's not just understood, it's felt, and feelings linger. Now here's something powerful. When someone keeps thinking about you, you become more important to them, even if nothing major actually happened. Because the brain measures importance based on attention, and attention grows when the mind keeps returning. So if your presence creates thought, you've already created connection. Now think about your role in this. You don't need to force attention. You don't need to chase interest. You need to create moments that stay in the mind, moments that feel real, moments that feel different, moments that are not fully finished. Now here's something deeper. Attraction grows in contrast. Moments of connection, followed by moments of space. Moments of closeness, followed by moments of distance. And when that balance exists, everything feels more intense, more real, more meaningful. But when everything is constant, it becomes predictable. And predictability kills curiosity. Now think about how people remember you. Not by how much you said, but by how you made them feel. Not by constant interaction, but by the moments that stood out. The moments that felt different. The moments that made them pause. The moments that made them think. And that thinking is what keeps you in their mind. So now ask yourself this: are you creating noise or are you creating impact? Because once you understand that difference, everything changes. Now take this one step further, because the real shift happens when you stop trying to be understood immediately. Most people want instant clarity. They want to explain everything. They want to make sure nothing is left uncertain. But attraction doesn't grow from certainty alone. It grows from discovery, from layers, from understanding someone over time. Now think about how powerful that is. When someone feels like they are discovering you, instead of being told everything at once, they become more invested, more curious, more engaged. Because now their mind is part of the process. And when the mind is involved, the connection becomes stronger. Now here's something even deeper. When you stop over-explaining, you start communicating differently. Your words carry more weight. Your presence feels more intentional. Your silence becomes meaningful. And that meaning creates impact. Now,